Can we listen to that one small voice? Can we listen? Listen to your heart. Can we listen to that one small voice? Listen to your heart, to your heart, to your heart. It's a journey. It begins with a step in times of uncertainty. Wisdom comes from within, clarity. You know we're not alone or lost. Listen to your heart and to God, to your heart. Can we listen to that one small voice? Can we listen? Listen to your heart. Can we listen? Yeah, to that one small voice. Listen to your heart, to your heart, to your heart. Faith like oil takes the friction out of life. Take the action. Pray every night, aligned with spirit. Well, you know the reason why. And listen to your heart and to God, to your heart. Can we listen to the one small voice? Can we listen? Listen to your heart. Can we listen to the one small voice? Listen to your heart, to your heart, to your heart. God is gonna guide you. God is gonna guide you. Love will always find you. Love will always find you. God will always guide you. God will always guide you. Love is on the side you. Love is on the side you. Can we listen to that one small voice? Can we listen? Listen to your heart. Can we listen to that one small voice? Listen to your heart, oh my God, to your heart. Can we listen to that one small voice? Can we listen? Listen to your heart. Can we listen? Yeah, to that one small voice. Listen to your heart, to your heart, to your heart. One more time. Can we listen? Small voice, can we listen? Listen to your heart, can we listen? To that one small voice, listen to your heart, to your heart, to your heart.
Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Denver's online Sunday service. We are a loving, prosperous community in the heart of Capitol Hill and now here online. And hey, we get it. 2021 has started out to be an interesting year to say the least. We know that with everything going on in the world, life can seem to be a struggle. Here at CSL Denver, we want you to know that we are here for you. Please know that our practitioners are available for prayer work with you. Our names and phone numbers are on our website at www.csldenver.org, or if you have a specific prayer request you'd like us to look at, please email it to info@csldenver.org and we'll get the whole team praying on your behalf. Reverend Elzia, along with our guest speakers, all of our practitioners, our music and service coordinators, want you to know how truly grateful we are for the online support that you have given us. Thank you for watching our Sunday services, attending our online workshops and events, and providing much-needed financial support so that we can keep our virtual doors open. We love you all and know that we'll be seeing you in the right and perfect time. Until then, we'll continue to meet here online on Sundays and look to create other unique online events. And if you're interested in our upcoming events or other information, we do send out a weekly newsletter. just head on over to csldenver.org where you can sign up for our newsletter, or send an email to info@csldenver.org and request to be put on the mailing list. We only send one email a week, so we promise not to flood your inbox. And this week, our virtual fellowship is back. After a brief hiatus for last week's class, this week we'll be gathering in our virtual fellowship room right after the service. If you have a previous invitation, that should work, or if you need a new invitation and link code, just send an email to info@csldenver.org and we'll get you the Zoom invitation right away. We'd love to see you, say hello, catch up for a moment or two, and just connect on a Sunday morning. Please join our virtual fellowship right after today's service. And hey, our friends over at New Thought Media Network have a new program happening on Saturday mornings where a host of ministers talks about the Science of Mind textbook. The Science of Mind and Spirit lecture series happens every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on the New Thought Media Facebook page. And our own Reverend Elzia spoke yesterday. You can catch the archive of that show on the video tab of their Facebook page or their YouTube page. All right, folks, that's all we've got time for this morning. Let's get back into the music with more by Freddie Rodriguez Jr.
Flows the power of God. Through me flows the love of God. Through me flows the glory of God. And I will serve the Lord. Through you flows the power of God. Through you flows the love of God. With God, through us flows the power of God, through us flows the love of God, through us flows the glory of God, and we are one with God. Flows the power of God. Through me flows the love of God. Through me flows the glory of God. And I will serve the Lord. Through you flows the power of God. Through you flows the love of God, through you flows the glory of God, and you are one with God. Through us flows the power of God, through us flows the love of God, through us flows the glory of God, and we are one with God, and I am one with God, and you are one with God, and we are one with God.
Good morning. I'm Tim Hancock, practitioner here at Center for Spiritual Living Denver. And I invite you to close your eyes for the invocation as we move in to the presence of the one power, the one divine presence that is God. We absolutely know that that presence is love, is healing, is compassion, is joy, is caring. And we know as we move into this service that we are all blessed with that power of the divine, that power of joy, that power of abundance, that power of kindness, that power of compassion. And we just allow ourselves to move away from the outside influences that have been going on in the last couple of weeks and move into peace. Peace in our hearts and the peace that's all around us. And we spread that peace through our actions, through our words, through our thoughts. And as we move in through today's service, we know that that peace and joy and divine compassion is working through each and every one of us. It is working through the words of Elzia and through the technical support of Diego and Robert, and through all of the practitioners at the Center for Spiritual Living Denver, as well as through each person who took the time to come into our service today. So I know that we are all blessed as this service is blessed, just as all people on all their paths are blessed. And I simply release this to the universe knowing that it is so. And so it is. And our reading today comes from a work called This Thing Called You by our founder, Ernest Holmes. When Jesus said, "It is done to you as you believe," he not only announced the law of faith, but he also explained how it works. First, he implied there is a law which operates upon your faith. All laws are universal. If there is a law of faith, it is right where you are and will operate like any other law in nature. It is only common sense to recognize that what this law does for you, it must do through you. If you plant a rose bush, it will not become a lemon tree. The law of faith operates with integrity on the definite idea, thought, expectancy, or acceptance planted in it. But the seeds must be left in the creative soil of mind until they can mature. They must be watered with hope, fertilized with expectancy, and cultivated with enthusiasm, gratitude, and joyous recognition. When the law operates automatically, you do not coerce, concentrate, or compel it. You provide mental attitudes which it may operate on. You do not hold the law in place, you hold your ideas in place. Your concentration is not on the law, that is already here. It is right where you are. It is within you as well as around you. And so it is. And now let's go ahead and move back to the music of Freddie Rodriguez and his song, Through Me.
Through me, you're beside me, always guiding, spirits rising, nothing to it, we can do it, 'cause we're part of a higher power, and it's time to shine and face the world. When it's you and me, the path will unfurl, as we let go of the blame of someone else, just to rising. Nothing to it, we can do it. 'Cause we're part of a higher power. There's a place within our hearts, within our minds, that connects us to the Spirit, the divine. There's no place where God is not, He's in our hearts. The essence of the who, the you we are. You work through me, you're beside me. You work through me, you're beside me. As we try to conquer this so crazy world, and I'm blessed to have a pretty, pretty girl. With the hand of God, we'll walk the streets of gold. It's a blessing, I'm confessing. You work through me, you beside me, always guiding, Spirit's rising. There's nothing to it, we can do it. 'Cause we're part of a higher power. And it's time to shine and face the world. When it's you and me, the path will unfurl. There's no place where God is not, He's in our hearts. The essence of the who, the you we are. You work through me, you're beside me, always guiding, Spirit's rising. There's nothing to it, we can do it. 'Cause we're part of a higher power. And it's time to shine and face the world. When it's you and me, the path will unfurl. We're connected to the Spirit, the divine. You work through me, you're beside me. You work through me, beside me. You work through me.
Good morning and welcome to CSL Denver, a place, a space, and a face of love. We are a spiritual community practicing universal principles and allowing it to enrich and enliven our lives. It is so good to be back here with you today, and I want to thank everybody that's here and glad you're here, and all of the support, the music, and everything is right on time. And so as we begin to continue this month's theme, 4 stages of spiritual awakening, this month we look at the idea of through me. Through me. Now, previously, we've looked at to me, which speaks to that consciousness, that victim consciousness, where we think things are just happening to us and it's only us, and it allows us to really get rid of or lose our power. And after we move through that stage, we move in the by me stage. That's the stage of manifestation consciousness. We learn how to use the laws of the universe, and we begin to manifest, and it's like having a magic wand, and we start waving it around and things happen, and we feel really good about that. But it also brings on a level of responsibility. And so when that happens, now there can begin this 2-step dance of it gets tiring. You can't maintain that all. And so now, if you're not careful, you'll find yourself slipping back into victimhood. Even though just previously you were able to manifest things, you were able to move to that by me. Well, now we begin to do something different. We understand that we can't do it alone. And so we move into the stage of through me, the stage of through me, which is where we are today. And in that stage of through me, it becomes a consciousness of allowing, a consciousness of challenging, where we just surrender. We move from making things happen to allowing them to happen. We become conscious vessels of the divine, where we develop a belief system that allows us to move beyond things and move into the essence of God itself, to the essence of God itself. Now, it is in that kind of understanding, it is in that way of living that we begin to do this. We realize that we are creative centers of the divine, expressions of divine energy flowing and functioning through us, flowing and functioning through us. Because when we are able to do that, it truly becomes by me, not by me, not to me, but it becomes through me, because we allow God to flow through. And we realize that we are conscious vessels of the divine. And we stay open. We allow things to happen. Now, to realize this, we must truly be open. What does that mean? What do I have to do to be open? Well, we have to be open to new ideas. We have to be open to new views. We have to be open to new approaches, and we have to be open to a broader belief system. We cannot stay stuck in our little narrow victim worlds, or our little, I'm going to make this happen for me world. We have to expand that idea. We have to understand that through the idea of surrendering into God, we open up a vessel. We become a vessel. We become this idea that God is in, through, and around all things. And we surrender. We yield. We release. Because I know for me right now, especially during these times, I need more of this than ever. I need to surrender, because I'm tired. I don't know if you're tired, but I am tired of trying to navigate and keep up and plan and do all these things I think I need to do to stay abreast of the news and to be safe and to maintain relationships. Because you see, when we try to do it all by ourselves, that is the first thing that happens. We become overwhelmed. And as I said earlier, if you're not careful, you will fall back into the victimhood, because there is no way for you to do it all alone. You can't do it by yourself. You just can't. And so when we fall into that idea, we begin to say, okay, as we gain a broader viewpoint, we shall see life must contain two fundamental characteristics. We shall see that there is an infinite spirit operating through an infinite and immutable law. An immutable law. And so when we begin to understand that we're living in this infinite spirit, that we're allowing ourselves to be led by this immutable law, then we become free. We make the first step on the path to freedom, because it is through this that we realize God is always with us. God is always with us. He's never left us. And by releasing, we activate a spirit of invoking the divine into our lives. It's like when you plant a seed, the seed must surrender. There's no way to will it to happen, for it to germinate and grow. There's no way to think or plan or do any of that to allow the essence of that seed to grow and blossom into whatever it is God has intended it to be. But what it has to do for sure is surrender. It has to surrender to that idea. It has to allow the spirit that is already within it, which is invoking God itself, which is in, and allow it to move and have its being. And so that's where we are today. As we look at this third step in the spiritual awakening, we are at the point of allowing God to work through us, to work through us. And we do that by surrendering. We have to surrender, because if we don't surrender, we go back to the wrestle. We're trying to do it all. We get tired. We forget things. The moment that we forget something, then we start feeling guilty, or whatever the emotion might be that says I'm not good enough, or I'm a victim, or it always happens to me. And so by allowing God to move through us and surrendering to that idea that God is all there is, and we are in, through, and around that concept of God, we allow the Spirit to move us. And when we do that, then we can relax. We can release, because the insights and the revolution and revelations will begin to flow to us. And the guidance and the direction will be coming from places we know not where. And we will begin to rely less on our own understanding and lean more on the understanding of God. Because that is where we begin to really expand. We begin to think about a time when you were involved in something and you did your very, very best to make it happen, and it just didn't happen. You got frustrated, you all kind of things went through your head about why it didn't happen, or who got in the way, or I just need to get one more skill or one more thing to make it happen. But when we surrendered to that idea and just released it, 8 times out of 10, if not 9 times out of 10, it just happens as if it was magic, because we have allowed the Spirit of God to move through us. We have allowed God to say yes in our lives. And so what that really says and what that really means for us as we move through these stages, when we get to this stage of through me, that means we must develop an honest and sincere relationship with the divine. There's no longer time to play games, and there's no longer time to try to fake it, because that won't do. At some point, we will run out of whatever it is we're doing, and we will need to surrender to the idea of God so God can work through us. Because you see, as vessels of the divine, and that's exactly what we are, the divine spirit lives within us, we can experience as much of God as we allow. You know, there's the question that how much God, or how much spirit can you embody? Well, because God is infinite, you can embody and express all of it, as much as you can embody, as much as you can embody. But you have first to embody it, which means I have to get in a relationship with it. We have to dance. And, you know, think about when you had your first date, you went to your first dance, and you and your partner were doing the slow dance, and there was a distance between you, because you had to figure out, you know, you're doing the 2-step. You don't want to step on their shoes. They don't want to step on your shoes. You don't want to get too close to make any assumptions. So you're trying to figure it out. But as you continue to do the dance, as you continue to do the give and flow, you become closer. You get closer and closer until, if someone's not careful, if they're looking at you, they will think, wow, that might be just one person moving and swaying to their own beat. But they are in a relationship where there's some trust and understanding and knowing, which allows them to really, really, really allow them to lead. Allow them. You ever tried to dance and you didn't know who was leading? It's a mess. If you haven't seen it, or you haven't remembered when you first did it, it's a mess. It's not pretty to watch. But when you can understand that, okay, we're moving together, we're allowing this to happen, now you can say yes to life. Now you can say yes to all of the things that are in front of you because I'm allowing God as my representative here to move me. We get that understanding of relationship. And so, and in that space, here's the part that's really, really exciting. Once we understand that we are vessels of the divine, and we allow God to really become in a hard and fast relationship with us, we think of this. It says, you will, the law is mechanical, and you will get out of it what you bring to it. So if you bring a cup to the well of life and you dip your cup in the well of life, that's just how much life you're going to get, a cup. But now if you bring a bucket to the stream of life, you're going to get a lot more. And so we begin to expand and allow ourselves to be true vessels to activate the mind and heart and spirit of God. When we realize and accept this, that we are centers of the divine mind of God, then we are open to the wisdom and the intelligence and the love and the understanding that is always available from God. It's always there. We just have to allow it to work through us. We can't try to do it all on our own. In effect, we are the co-pilots of life. The co-pilots of life. Now, I'm sure some of you have seen, God is my co-pilot. Well, I take a little twist to that because God is all there is. So God is always leading us to a place that is right and that is whole and that is through exactly what we need. And so I say this. This is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. He says it like this. He says, treat a man, and we know it's treat a person. And so we'll use the vernacular that they've given us here. Treat a man as he is, and he will remain as he is. Treat a man as he could be, and he will become what he should be. And of course, we know that applies both to men and women. But the idea of treating someone as they are a divine emanation of the Most High God, looking at them with the eye of honor and love and respect, allows the divine to flow through us. It allows us to really move and be in tune with the infinite. In tune with I'll ask you a question. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How many of you have ever felt the Spirit? I mean, really felt the Spirit where you're clapping your hands, you're praising God. You are in this state where I don't even know how I got here, but boy, does this feel good. This feels good to have the Spirit move me, and I'm getting inspiration, and I'm getting insight, and I'm getting energy from the thing itself. That is when we are thoroughly through me. And that's where we want to be. In this evolution of consciousness, in this awakening process, we want to be led by the Spirit so that we understand and we know when that happens. It's not a question. It's not a doubt. When the Spirit is moving you, you know exactly when it's happening. And that only happens when we begin to accept who and what we are and allow the God within to correspond with the God of all. Then we move from that. We move from the idea of I, and we move into we. We move into we with the open heart and an open mind, and we understand that God is real in our lives. That God is real in our lives, and we can begin to make things anew. And so Emmett Fox says this. Emmett Fox says, there is nothing in the universe that you cannot do or be if you are mentally ready. If you are mentally ready. So the question becomes, are you ready? Are you ready to allow God to flow through you? Given all that I have experienced the last year, I'm ready. I thought I was ready before, but I wasn't. I still had a little bit of to me and by me, all that stuff was in there. And after 1 year of this, I am tired. And I am ready to surrender fully to the divine and say, yes, I open my heart, my mind, my soul to the divine mind of God, to that ancient wisdom that has been here from the beginning, that has created all we see. It created the operation of your heart. It created the respiration system that allows the oxygen and moving through your lungs and oxygenating your blood and allow you to have life itself. Because when we move into that stage, when we can really tap into that understanding, then we begin to experience this thing called divine grace. Divine grace, where the Spirit of God just begins to influence things. It begins to make things happen and you don't even know how they happen or why they happen. Because that's the grace of being in that relationship and understanding that, yes, this is life and I can have it more abundantly and I can let it flow through me, as me. And so that is the goal. I think that's why we're here, to be expressions of God and to allow it to flow through us fully. And as it said earlier, how much of that can I let flow? Well, I can let it all flow if I prepare myself, if I'm mentally ready to take on that task and move in that direction. And so that's our charge. That's our charge. As we continue to move down this avenue of spiritual awakening and allowing God to be God, we begin to understand that we want divine grace and we look forward to that. But to do that, we must allow God to lead and we must have faith. We must have, I took a salsa class and I wasn't that good. I'm still probably not that good. But one thing you have to understand, when you watch somebody do salsa, even if only one party understands, and that's the leader, when you look at them in partnership, in relationship, doing that dance, if you have a very good leader, it makes everyone in that thing look outstanding. They're turning and dipping, and I mean, it's an amazing thing. During the lessons, I had someone who knew what they were doing, and they were teaching, and it made me look like a superstar. But I allowed myself to surrender, and I accepted in faith that they knew what they were doing. And so I think it's only fitting that as we close this out, we look at this idea that Dr. Martin Luther King stated, which is tomorrow we celebrate his birthday, his celebration of his life. And this is what he said. He said, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. Just take the first step. That is what is required when we want to fully allow God to work through me, through us, through you. Because that's what it takes. And so as we do that in this journey to wholeness, this journey of awakening to exactly who and what we are, and embrace this process, we do so knowing that we cannot fail. We can't fail if we open ourselves up, we open our minds, and we grab hold of the everlasting arm of God. We cannot fail. And so with that in mind, I think we say this, and then we close. We say the limit of our demonstration is the limit of our belief. If we believe more, we can demonstrate more by allowing God to flow through us. Not by me trying to do it, by allowing God to do it and go through. So as we go through this week and we look for what our call to action is, here's the call to action. Stay open. Don't lock down. Don't get so rigid to where you can't make changes. You can't accept new ideas. You can't begin to look at things in a different way. Because when you allow God to work through you, when I allow God to work through me, it benefits everyone for me to stay flexible and open. And once we've gotten that, now we have to embrace the adventure. Because at that point, I'm not leading anymore. I have to let go a little bit of control, and automatically it becomes an adventure because I don't know what's next. So I just embrace it. I embrace that adventure. And as we go along this process, we begin to do what? We have to cultivate and maintain faith. There's a thing that says, do everything as it dependent on you, and have faith as it everything dependent on God. Because that's where we are. And we know through past experience, even if they were very glimpses, we know that when we can do this, God is on our side and we can do all things. And so as we look for an affirmation this week to anchor this idea of allowing God to flow through us, here's the affirmation. I now use the power of God within to experience life as an expression of the divine. I now use the power of God within me to experience life as an expression of the divine. Because when we do that, we become one. We become an agent of change, of divine grace, allowing things to happen to us that we never could imagine on our own. And so as we surrender into that idea and we go into prayer and we prepare ourselves for the rest of this day and this week coming forth, we just take a deep breath. We take a deep breath and allow ourselves to relax and to surrender and to allow the God within to speak to our hearts, that place of divine ancient wisdom, that place that regulates our lives, that nourishes who we are, that understands how things can be. But it also acknowledges that I am the bread of life. I am the water of life. And so I am here. My well is always open. It never runs out. So bring the cup, bring the bucket, bring the vessel that you will, so that you can partake in this divine spirit of God. Because as we do that, we develop an understanding. We develop an idea in our minds that says yes to life. That yes, I could be a support. Yes, I can be better than I am. Yes, I can do things I thought I could not do. Because it is not me doing it. It is God itself. And so as I surrender and allow the intuition and I allow the insights and the revelations of the divine to move through every aspect of my life, I begin to see a change in the world. I begin to become a change in the world because God has a plan for each and everything, person, and place in this universe. And as more and more of us partake of that idea, as more of us surrender to that divine mind of God, we become one with it. We become a vessel of change, a vessel of love, of wisdom, of understanding. And so right here, right now, I just surrender. And I know for myself and for you and anyone that may be listening to this call later, it is so much of a relief to release, to let go of that will and allow God to take over on this journey. And so it is in that surrendering to the divine. It is allowing God to guide us and to lead us and to support us as we evolve into what it is we are meant to be. We just give thanks. We give thanks for the idea. We give thanks for the opportunity. We give thanks for all of those we meet on this adventure of life that will inspire us, that will motivate us, that will help us become who we are. And so in that becoming, I just release this word into the law, knowing that all is well, that God is good, and that we are blessed beyond measure, and that we are here to do a mighty work, but we don't need to do it alone. We do it with God in front. And so it is in that understanding and the manifestation of the law that I release, I let go and know that it is so. And so it is. Amen, Amen
Yes.
and amen. And so thank everyone for being here. I am just so excited about this point of the journey of allowing God to flow through me and to be my God, my leader, and develop a real relationship. And so now it is that time in the service where we have our offerings, and we are so grateful and blessed for everyone support of CSL Denver, whether it's in time, treasure, or talents, and especially during these times of change. Whether this is your first time joining us or you're a returning community member, we want to thank you for your continued financial support of this important work that we're striving to do. And this information you'll see is running across the bottom of your screen and right now. And so you can give your tithes and offerings in a multiple ways. You can use a credit card. You can, on your cell phone with the text, if you text to 844-454-0918 and type the word give and the dollar amount, we will get that offering. You can also go on our website at www.csldenver.org and push the donate button. And you can give that way. Or you can also send a check to CSL Denver, P.O. Box 300416, Denver, Colorado 80203. And we would love for you to continue support. So, and also if you have a King Soopers or Amazon, you can link your accounts with us as well. If you go to our website, you'll have information on how that works. And so now if you just take that gift for your hands and place it over your heart as we repeat our customary affirmation, this perfect gift is spirit informed, circulating and blessing all that it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive, and so it is. Amen.
And we want to thank you all for attending our service today. And we would like to remind you that with all that's going on in the world these days, sometimes we do need a little prayer support. Here at CSL Denver, we want you to know that we are here for you to celebrate and to hold space for you. Please know that our practitioners are available to work with you. We'd love to pray with you. We love to pray. Our names and phone numbers are on our website at www.csl.org. Or if you do have a prayer request, you can just simply mail it to us to info@csldenver.org. As mentioned at the beginning of our service, we are back to having our virtual fellowship on Zoom this morning. If you didn't receive the Zoom invitation earlier today, please send an email to info@csldenver.org and mention fellowship, and we'll send you a Zoom invitation right away. And also a reminder, our friends over at New Thought Media Network have a new program on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. based on the teachings from the Science of Mind textbook. Reverend Robert, Reverend Elzia, and numerous other Science of Mind teachers are the facilitators. If you did miss any of the past sessions, you can retrieve them on YouTube. And meanwhile, we affirm right here and right now that 2021 is blessed and is perfect in all it is. We love you and miss you. Please take care of yourselves. And now let's close out with more music from Freddie Rodriguez Jr.
and lights and peace forever. Rising up with spirits, rising up with love, rising up with spirits and love and lights and peace forever. Rising up with spirits, rising up with love, rising up with spirits and love and life